everyone. Welcome to the I Will Aim podcast. And our topic for today is win win communication with Alex Dumas. Alex is an international leadership coach, best selling author, and a speaker. He has dedicated his life to empowering corporate leaders and entrepreneurs to become win win communicator. With a background in psychology and over a decade of nonprofit leadership experience, he brings a unique perspective to sales, marketing, and team building. His journey has been one of faith, family, and service. As a devoted husband and loving father, he understands the importance of strong relationship and effective communication. This understanding, combined with his expertise in leadership, personal development has allowed him to help countless individual and organization reach their full potential. Anyone can become a powerful win-win communicator. Through his coaching, speaking, and writing, he committed to provide the tool and strategy needed to make that a reality. Welcome, Alex. Good afternoon to you.
Whew. Well, okay, man. Thank you. I am taking you wherever I go. Like that's, I'm gonna put you in a in a little bottle or a bubble or something like that, and just I got my will guy. I'll put
Thank
you in
you
my
for your
boombox
kind
or
word.
something, man. Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you for
you.
your kind word. Let me uh, pitch the first question that I always ask my guests. Can you share a bit about your journey?
Yeah, my journey is an interesting one. I'll preface this here. There's no dramatic, horrible tragedies in my life, in my family. I grew up in middle class suburbia in New York, Long Island to be specific, right? So it's not your classic tale of, oh my goodness, he came from a broken home and drugs and gangs running his neighborhood. Like, no, it's just pretty standard life. Boring, if you want to call it that. Boring's pretty fun in
It's
my
not.
book.
It's not. I'm sure it's not.
But I grew up as the youngest of four kids, right? My parents are immigrants from Haiti, and I start here at this part because everything you read off, right, about speaking, about coaching, about the difference I make, the impact, and all these different things. That's it's amazing, and I lived it. I'm living it, and there's opportunity for you to read it, but just recognize that it did not start off that way. Where it started off for me was being very insecure as a kid, feeling as if I were invisible, feeling as if I didn't belong, didn't have a place, whether it was in the household, whether it was in my community, whether it was in school, everywhere I went, I collected evidence to prove myself right that, oh, I don't belong here. This is not supposed to be for me. I don't deserve good things. And that type of belief system or root foundation is kind of poisoned, and that sprinkled into how I express myself and how I communicated with people and the type of relationships I built, ruined, the challenges I self-inflicted on myself, and through that somehow found a way to turn my life around, to recognize that I have a lot more authority, a lot more power and sovereignty versus what I believe is this is the way it is, default. Life is just what it is. I have to accept whatever it is instead of, oh, I have an opportunity to create and choose. So there's a lot there, but that's in a tiny snapshot who I am.
Thank you for sharing your background. I really love the way you tell your story, what happened, and how you came around and became who you are today. I want to ask a little bit about the win-win communication. At which point did you decide this is what I want to work on, and here's the platform that I want to be part of?
Yeah, this has been evolving over the last couple of years. One of the experiences that I got to share in the upcoming book, Journey of Riches, The Power of Self-Discovery, was a story about how I really jumped into the world of speak, and I had been interested in it for a few years. And back in the end of 2021, I had an opportunity to MC and speak and lead an event. And this came as as a means of necessity, out of fear. Myself and three other coaches, we had enrolled in a group coaching program with this one guy, and the price tag on it was fairly steep, more than I had at the time, right? So I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to make this money? How am I going to pay this guy? He likes to be paid in full, and all of us had our equal share in it. And one day, someone says, you know what? Let's create a 1 day event in January 2022. We're going to take the proceeds from that, use that, and we'll pay off the coach and continue with the group work. All right, speak my own language, create an event, speak, and make some money. All right, let's do this. And I share that because that took about 73 days, right? We put this together from the conception of it to the actual execution, right? It was November 11th. This idea starts floating around. You better believe we got to work. We got busy. Boom, boom, boom. And I remember it was January 23rd, 2022. We have almost 300 people in this room. Got the lights, the cameras. It's in Phoenix, Arizona. The lights are bright. And I take those first few steps up the stairs. I got the mic in my hand, and I'm here to kick it off and get things rolling. And it felt like home. I was
Wow.
sweating. I was intense. I was crazy, but it was one of the most fun experiences I ever had. And I share all of that because for win-win communication, what I noticed from there was a stark contrast to what I shared with you earlier about feeling invisible, not feeling like I belonged anywhere, and feeling like I wasn't important. In the experience, I learned some valuable things. I learned that one, being connected with people is crucial, right? It started off with the three of us, well, the four of us, sorry, and we had this intention. We set a powerful intention to create this event. Two, the collaboration piece came in. I have different skill sets. The three of them had their different skill sets, and somehow we found a way to use our talents, our abilities to put this together. And not just us, but then this is something I talk about from the stage about what I call building a bigger bubble. In this case, it was having this big dream, having this big vision of what we wanted to accomplish, and starting to enroll other people into it. People started to champion our cause. They started to see the big picture of what we're doing, of, well, we want to attach ourselves to this. And people are eager to be led, not because they are weak or they don't have their own power, but they see something that is so exciting and so exhilarating. They want to be a part of it too. And we were able to leverage their gifts, right? Not manipulate, not exploit, leverage their gifts, their talents as well to help us put this thing together. Because between the four of us, it wasn't going to get done, not in that short of a time frame. So we connected, we collaborated, and the last piece of what I using my tools as far as win-win communication goes is being creative. We found a way to make it fun so we can get it done. Sure, there were some days we were like, man, what are we doing? This is stupid. This is too much. Are we out of our league? Are we over our heads? But we found ways to create little games and keep the enthusiasm going. And when you start to win, when you start to actually accomplish what you're set out to do, that gets fun. Actually, that's more fun than fun is. It's funner, if that can be a word. So that's how I would describe win-win communication in a
Well,
nutshell.
thank you very much for sharing that background. Right, it came from taking a leap of faith, and then
Yeah.
as you take the leap of faith and you collaborate with people that has the same purpose and vision, you end up in being able to find where your voice needed to be, right? You find, like, in many ways, I always look at the stage became your home. You found your home.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that story. I think a lot of people that would listen to this episode could be inspired by that particular story. That is it in itself, a story. It's a huge nugget for other people to actually take in, and when they have that opportunity in the future, they could, take a leap of faith because they heard other people have done it, and you're a perfect example of it. Thank you very much for sharing that. Next, I want to go to shout out. Every episode I usually dedicate to someone. For this episode, I'll dedicate to Kabita Joseph. She used to be my mentee, but now I call her friend. We know each other for about, I would say, 17 years. And she
Mm.
started as my mentee, but now I call her friend and colleague. We're still, stay in touch. She's been very, very successful compared to where I am, but I'm very proud of her. So this episode dedicated to Kabita. Who do you want to dedicate this episode to?
Wow, that's a great one, and that's amazing that you've had that relationship with them, and it just had to be my wife, Sarah. And no, seriously, I mean, I owe. There's not enough time on this show to express to you what she means to me and what she's meant for me. But I'll just put it like this, and this isn't real. This is not hokey Hallmark stuff, but like she saved my life because I was on a road to destruction of nowhere, of just drifting along life like this. All those things you said in the beginning about me, like that's not really possible without her believing in me, without her just helping me to wake up to, oh, that is possible for myself, and I can create powerful things. My line of thinking, and this would be before Sarah, so my BS sounded like this. Why is life like this? Why can't I have that? Why are good things happening for them? Why is it not for me? Where is the abundance? Where is God? Where is all these things? After it started to sound like this in my head. Man, what can I create from this opportunity? Right? What's available to me? Who can help me? What's the what am I best suited for? How can I best bring my best self to it? Right? It's two stark differences of me is this default defective thing, right? This broken like creature, and moving into like being a powerful creator. And she's been instrumental in that. She's vital to this whole thing.
Well, I want to thank Sarah too because you became a guest of mine. If not for Sarah, you won't be here today. You being my guest. So I
Yeah.
think it's really one of those things that I always think about, right? A fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Now you're not only a growth mindset, you're growing other people. So that to
Yeah.
me, I want to thank you for doing that. Whatever you do every day to go out, made an impact, inspire people. Thank you for doing that. You're creating a better place for everyone. Let's jump into the first question. Can you share a personal story where win win communication transformed a challenging situation into a successful outcome?
Gosh. I mean, part of that story earlier of creating this event, that was definitely a piece of it, of working together with a team. Women communication has been a crucial part of just my relationship with Sarah and with my kids. Gosh, I see it everywhere. Honestly, I see it in so many different instances because I approach communication from a space of where I'm coming from, more so than a tactic or, hey, I'm actively listening here or I'm jotting down notes, right? Those things are important, don't get me wrong, but I look at it from a space of, as a kid, right? Through my teens and young adulthood, my filter of the light of life was I'm not important. So, Will, you could have came to me 20 years ago and been like, man, Alex, you're an awesome guy. I really like you. You're no, you're on your way up. And my filter would have dismissed it. I would have not received it. Just there's no access here because internally I'm a hot mess. It's taken work. It's taken a lot of growth work and mentoring, partnering with other people, having people in my life that believe in me, support me, challenge me, right? Challenge my way of thinking and help me see new outcomes and more resilience within myself and not just fall into the I keep going back to the default, right? My default settings of, man, this is how it is how my life will always be versus I have the say so and I can turn the dial and change it to what I want. So that's it.
Thank you for sharing that one. I think let's go to the next one. What are the key principles of a win win communication? And how can a person incorporate that in the way they interact with everyone?
Yeah, it's a great question. A key principle that I share is what I call building a bigger bubble. And this is expanding your mind, expanding your vision, expanding the way that you listen. Because whether it's a good conversation or not so good, one that you walk away with, and it doesn't have to be a sales thing either, right? It can just be your regular communications interaction with other people. I like to say, I call it going for the gold, like listening for the gold, listening for the gems, the jewels that I can extract from it and how they can benefit me. That's one opportunity. the bubble itself is not a place to exclude anybody. I used to think of it like as a force field, like I'm going to keep people away from me because I don't want anyone to get close. I don't want people to know the real me and destroy the image of the mask that I put on. Well, the more I'm myself, the more that people are drawn to me, the more that they can see themselves, excuse me, through my story. And at the end of the day, my story is your story, right? We all have these visions of having a great life, whether that means having a great time with our family, financial freedom, whether that means being comfortable in our own skin, being fulfilled, whatever that might look like. We want that, but we also have to recognize that it's going to take all of us working together in communion and community to do that. And the the last tip I would say is be creative, be curious, right? For the leader that thinks that they know that they've got that already, that there's nothing else that anyone could contribute. Well, you can operate that way if you want to, but the most innovative ideas, the most spectacular breakthroughs in human history have come from somebody just wondering, what if this could be this way, or what would be possible, and why are we doing it this way? Versus someone who's the know-it-all, the I already got that, I know that. Those are three words that will destroy
Yeah.
innovation at any level, any team.
I think I love the concept of bubble, right? And the way you explain it too. What I also liked about it, often like I was thinking bubble is not inclusive because, but the way you describe it also it's inclusive. So I even make it even more powerful, right? So thank you for sharing the concept of bubble. Really appreciate that. How do you handle situation where you're dealing with a party who doesn't really want to participate in the win-win solution? Like how do you influence them and how do you motivate? And this is going to be very important for everyone listening out there because we deal with it every so often in our life, right?
Yeah, I'll call myself out in real time. The last week, myself and my executive board for the BIPOC Coach Collective, we had a gathering of a team virtual retreat for a few hours. We carved out a half day, and we're talking about our visions for the next 1 to 2 years and things of that nature. And there's one particular point where I had an idea of what I wanted, and then there was some kind of challenge to it of like, hey, well, why do you want it that way, or what? Why are you holding on to that? And inside, I could feel myself kind of, no pun intended, bubble up, like starting to like get a little boiled up. Like, man, what are you talking about? Like, no, this is the way it's got to be. And I, in that moment, started to self coach myself and start looking at like, all right, where am I coming from right now? What's really the objective here? What am I really getting upset about or getting annoyed about? And then what's the big picture here? Is it for me? Am I here to look good? Am I here to get the glory and get the credit? Or is this for the benefit of the big picture of everybody else involved? And how is this going to affect the work 4 years from now, 5 years from now, right?
Mm.
And that allowed me to just recenter myself, kind of recalibrate and listen to what they were saying and what was important for them versus, well, I got to get what I got to get. Like, no. This is why I assembled this team, because I don't have all the best ideas, not every time. And in order to do the things that we're set out to do, it's an inclusive opportunity for me to learn, for me to lead and practice this in real time. So it wasn't as fun in that kind of splits in those moments, but this is something that I can practice and apply versus being mad about it and grumpy for the rest of the call and start to gossip and potentially backstab. And those things happen all the time. Not for us, I'm saying with other teams.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to participate in that. That's not what I welcome into my life. I'm not available for that kind of mess.
What I'm impressed with this conversation we're having right now is you were vulnerable. You shared a personal example in a situation where you're highlighting that you need to work on. And also, that's amazing because as a leader, you're also showing that we're not perfect. We all go through this moment where we have, a different thinking than other people. And it's great for you to demonstrate that you came around, you listened to people, and you came to an agreement. And more importantly, you didn't really think about, you avoid those gossiping and those back talk that could happen when things
Yeah.
like this. That's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing. That's definitely going to be a short clips on this video that I have right now. Next question for you. What are the common misconceptions about win-win communication? Because sometimes I remember back in the days, or my early corporate days, when they said win-win, win-win, that means no one win, right? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, that's a fair observation of it, right? Of, well, I didn't get everything I want, right? To concede so much. That's possible. I see it from a space of, did I walk away from this conversation understanding what that person really wanted, and did they walk away understanding what I wanted to bring to the table? For me, that is the benefits of it. Recently I just had a conversation with the CEO of this organization, Black Executive Men, and he put on the my radar this opportunity to create a virtual summit for this group, right? And he was like, you know what, I want you to take it on, be the face of it, and run with it. Okay, game on. Now here's how this benefits several different people, right? One, it's going to benefit me because I get my name out there, right? People are going to see me as like the organizer of it, the creator of it, being a speaker on this summit. So yeah, boost up my profile for sure. Two is going to boost up this organization. One, just be by me mentioning it right now, right? Name dropping it a bit, but the other gentlemen, other powerful leaders, executives who are going to feel called to our theme about how to leverage coaching for their own corporate success. The group's going to benefit just from the caliber of people who are going to walk in there. Third win, right? This is extra win. This is the bonus, right? Extra credit, if you want to call it that. The people are going to be attending that. They're going to get to hear from experts like myself and the other coaches I'm assembling to share their expertise. They're benefiting from decades, combined decades worth of experience and knowledge. So everybody in this ecosystem is winning. But here's it. You want the extra bonus? Everybody in their lives, right? When I walk away from that event, when I walk away from this conversation, I'm going to walk away a better husband, a better father. You potentially are going to walk away as a better community leader in your space, right? So it doesn't have to always be an explicit, well, I got this value attached to it. It's kind of the aura, like they call in sports, the rub,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If I'm a younger player and I kind of compete against somebody who's a few notches up, it's going to elevate my game
Yes,
to
yes.
come back into the bubble. This is the expansion part. This is how we all start to win together. So hopefully that answers your question.
No, yeah, you did, and I love the part about if you do something, not only it helps you, it benefits all the other parties that you're helping with. And the last example you did as an athlete, I think I love the example that if you played with a stronger, better player, that
Yeah.
level up your game. I have two daughters that are both were both in sports when they were little in high school. My younger ones still play soccer in college. It's the same concept I always said if you're if you're on a team and you're the best player on the team, you got to change team, right? Because you're
Yeah.
not learning anymore. But at some point, it's okay to be in the team where you're the best player for 1 year or 2 year, but 2 years. But after that, you got to level up because that's where you kind of improve your game. Same concept. But thank you for sharing and dispelling the misconception of win-win communication.
Yeah.
My next question is: what are the practical tips that you could give someone who's looking to improve their win-win communication?
Yeah. The first tip I would really say, and I think this might be the most important one, is the questions that you're asking. Not to other people, starting with yourself, your own internal dialogue. I call it checking your temperature, right? If I'm going into a conversation, I'm going into, we'll talk about sales, right? If I'm going into a sales call, a sales presentation, where am I coming from? Am I coming from a place of, boy, I hope I look good. I sure hope I impress these people. I sure hope that I will. I impose my will on them so that they give me and I take. That energy is felt. That is like it's repulsive. I want to ask myself the questions of how can I serve this person? What what is it going to be their experience walking away having this discussion with me? How can I make a difference in their life, right? If shifting to service is a powerful thing. Coming back to that story I told earlier about creating this event back in 2022, one of the unknown things about this was we had created this event to raise money to pay off this coaching, right? But that shifted when the coach learned about this and he invited us to this new possibility. How about we raise the same amount of money that we were going to pay him, but instead handed him this bucket of money, we donated to charity instead. It took me a minute to like, oh, wait, huh? Because this is the gentleman. He's married. He's got 5 kids. Right. This is not lunch money. It's not just some money you find under the floor. Right. This is
Yeah.
significant cash, and he's willing to do that. He's open to that possibility of circulating wealth to serve and make a difference in these other organizations, associations. I'll tell you what happened. The weight, the pressure released immediately. It became now a cause. It became a crusade. And the questions now started to look like, hey, can you help us? And, sorry, not can you help us, but can you help us for this organization? Can you support them? Can you rally with us so we can make a difference for them? So coming back to your question, who are you serving? What's the purpose of this conversation, and what are you really committed to?
I really love the conversation about yourself, right? Conversation with yourself, not about
Yeah,
yourself. The
yeah,
conversation with yourself is so powerful, and I think I personally use that once a week at the end of the week to actually have a conversation with myself. How I did this week, what are the things I could improve? Thank you for sharing that. And the second part that I like about this conversation is pivoting from doing something for something into doing something for a greater cause,
yeah.
which, like you said, after you pivot to that greater cause, the weight is lifted, and now you on a mission to kind of make an impact on other people's lives. So thank you very much for sharing that. We talk a lot about win-win situation. We dispel the uh, misconception about win-win communication. What are the three takeaways that you want my audience or our audience to remember from this conversation?
Yeah, for sure. Number one, go for the gold. In this case, listening. Where are you listening from? What are you listening for? With your own internal chemistry inside, right? What are you tapped into? What's your frequency? Are you listening for criticism from somebody? Are you listening for the things that are wrong, quote unquote, about you? Or are you listening for, wow, this person's helped me, this person's serving me. I may not like this feeling now, but in hindsight, wow, that was actually one of the most beneficial things that somebody could have said to me. Number
Thank
two,
you.
oh, sorry, yeah,
Uh,
sorry.
Number two.
Number two, building a bigger bubble. Right? What's your big vision? Well, how can you expand? What's the vision that's bigger than yourself? Because if it's just for you, if it's just I'm cool. I'm a great guy, but you know, I need the big vision. I need the big picture because if I just make it about me, to potentially it's easier for me to quit because man, this is tough. My ego's bruised. Uh, uh, right. I might descend real quick, but if other people are counting on me, if I can make a real impact for others, man, that's rocket fuel into me. And number three, make it fun to get it done. Can you bring your most fun and playful self to a situation? And I get it. Sometimes being disciplined, but if it's working out, eating right, doing business, some days it's not fun. I don't always get thrilled to do my daily podcast. It's only 3 minutes long, But even before that, I might stare at the microphone for 10 minutes, like, man, what am I going to say? I don't want to do this. Nobody's listening. But then I snap out and think, all right, what's something fun I can do with this? Like, let me move my body. Let me change my state and recenter on that bigger picture. What am I listening for? And then let me have a fun time with this. Let me just express who I am. And when we get to express who we are authentically, that is fun. When we're hiding, when we're trying to cover up, when we're trying to put the mask on, that's exhausting.
Thank you for sharing those three takeaway. I really love them, especially the bubble. I really love that concept. That's my biggest takeaway today. Last but not the least, can you share with my audience what are the projects you're working on? How do they reach out to you? If they have any question for you, how do they connect with you?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you, Will. Oh man, there's so much going on. So within the next few weeks, like I mentioned before, this Black Executive Men virtual summit is going to be happening. I'll get the audience more specific dates, or I'll share with you so you can put that in the show notes. At the end of September, I'm going to have my co-authored book released into the world, and that's yeah. Thank you. Yeah, everybody, you can clap.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you can clap for that. So I contributed my chapter. It's called "Everybody Wins," including me, because that's a big piece of that. I'm a part of everybody, and I want to convey that to you too. Everybody else, yeah, they get to have a good time. You get to have a good time too. You get to celebrate and get the confetti and the champagne, metaphorically, right? Of 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 experience and abundance in your life, and you're welcome to that. And later on, actually starting in September, my wife and I are leading a 4 month experience for folks called the Brand Amplifier Experience. And this is for coaches, for speakers to up level, revamp, reboot their profiles in terms of their speaking. Right, we're going to be working with them on their keynotes and storytelling. We're going to be working with folks on in person, right, for a 1 day beautiful experience in North Carolina, where they're going to get new headshots. We're going to be interviewing them in a professional studio. It's a beautiful, beautiful environment. That's the one day of that is happened in November. But prior to that, it's going to be prep work, telling your story, getting dialed in, showing up powerfully so that when we're in that studio, your elevated self is in there. And then we're going to work with you on the monetization strategies afterwards, how to leverage this, how to create keynotes, how to land speaking engagements from that, so that it's not just cute photo and you look nice, but now you show up as a professional, you show up as an authority in your space, you show up as the go-to person, the go-to expert versus the best kept secret. So that's what's on the horizon.
Thank you for sharing, Alex, all the work that you have over the next 4 or 5 months. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Last but not the least, I want to thank you for being a guest on my podcast. I'm sure my audience would love everything they would learn from you. I would create short clips. Really appreciate you, Alex. Thank you. Thank you very much for your time and have a good day.
Oh man, you're welcome. Will, I appreciate you. I love what you're doing here. Thank you for the difference you're making. I've been singing your praises all over the socials. I will continue to do so. And if anybody wants to connect directly with me, go to alexdumascoaching.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. You can find me at Alex Dumas. That's the profile there. And all that said and done, stay blessed.
Thank you for the kind words. Have a good day. Take care.